Well, does it feel like this is the case that is never going to end? In fact, on Twitter the other day, I saw somebody speculating based on certain dates that were being talked about in this case, that this case actually wasn't going to end until the middle to the end of 2023. I don't think we're going to have to go that far, because in this video I'm going to talk about what Ripple just filed. In fact, it's a court order with some dates in it that Jeremy Hogan is suggesting could signal what Ripple thinks could be the end of the case. So I'm going to talk about those dates in this video. And I'm also going to talk about that Eleanor Terrett of Fox Business just tweeted out about some insider information about what the SEC actually thinks about this case. So I'm going to talk about what these things could actually mean for the SEC versus Ripple, because after all, this is the Late Night Grind, and what we do is cover the SEC versus Ripple. Hey everyone, my name is Randy, and welcome to the Late Night Grind. And right now on this channel, we are of course covering the Ripple versus the SEC case, but I'm also covering cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if any or all these topics interest you, make sure you hit that subscribe button, join the Late Night Grind community, and if you're feeling generous, I'd really appreciate it if you do two things. Hit the thumbs up button and watch this video all the way to the end. Those really are the two best things you can do to support a YouTube channel. So with that in mind, let's jump into it. All right, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is what Eleanor Terrett of Fox Business just tweeted out the other day. This about some insider information that she just heard. In fact, her tweet said scoop, which means she feels like she's the first to get this information. What is it? This tweet has to do with what Hester Peirce, who is a chairman on the SEC, and it has to do with what she thinks about this case versus Ripple. And according to Eleanor Terrett, Hester Peirce has said privately, or not so privately, being that we're talking about it on a YouTube channel now, that she believes that the SEC is not actually going to get the outcome that they had wanted. Now, if you're following this channel, or anybody on Twitter, or anybody following this case with any type of diligence, well, you probably already know that. That's not shocking news. Meanwhile, the SEC, well, if that's what they're actually saying behind closed doors, and when you match that up with what Gary Gensler just said last week, maybe we could be heading towards settlement. So what did Gary Gensler actually say last week? Well, in an interview, he was actually saying that the SEC may not win all the cases they take on. Hold on, what? The SEC actually admitted they might not win all the cases that they go after? Of course, this is notwithstanding any potential settlements and what that may or may not mean for the SEC or Ripple or all these other cryptocurrency projects and blockchain companies that they may or may not go after. And you might want to stay tuned for what the SEC actually has in mind for exchanges, because I believe that is the next step. Okay, so if Hester Peirce of the SEC says that the SEC is not going to get the outcome they'd hoped for, and Gary Gensler's already admitting that they may not win all the cases that they take on, sounds like the SEC is already admitting defeat. That's why we're seeing signs of settlement talks all over Twitter, all over YouTube. The speculation is starting to run rampant. So when could that actually happen? Or is it going to happen? Okay, well, I'm going to talk about some things that Jeremy Hogan has recently been talking about on Twitter. This specifically coming from a court order that was just posted, and Jeremy Hogan saw it and analyzed it. And I'm not even going to pretend to know what this court order actually means in terms of legal analysis. I'm going to give it my best YouTuber crack. All right, so this court order was actually submitted by Ripple Labs, and what this was a court order to actually modify the case schedule. So here's what at least Jeremy Hogan said. The court order had asked for a class certification, and previously the date at which it was asking for a class certification was August 26th. Well, Ripple recently filed this new court order and asked it to be pushed back until November 18th. Now, Jeremy Hogan suggests that this could be the time frame that Ripple thinks the case could be over by. November 18th. There we go. According to Jeremy Hogan on Twitter, this case could be said and done by then. And of course, he followed that up with his speculation that Ripple would actually see a summary judgment win in September. That, of course, is if Ripple and the SEC go to full trial and go through all of these documentation, and Ripple actually comes out with that summary judgment win. And of course, if you've been following this channel, you'd see that the majority of the facts and the majority of the evidence is in their corner. It's not looking great for the SEC, but he did say settlement can happen at any time. That is why settlement talks are running rampant all over social media. And he's right, a settlement essentially could be announced at any time, in which case, well, I hope you have your bags packed for XRP. And a lot of what I've been covering on this channel, specifically revolving around the case, specifically revolving around this Ripple case, has brought up a lot of things on social media, specifically Twitter, that Ethereum has been involved with some, so we call it some underhanded activities with the SEC and with a lot of the things that we'll actually go ahead and call conflict of interest. You might have heard them called a lot worse. Now, Ethereum and Joe Lubin is front and center with this. So recently, I've been reading some news, some headlines that is coming out, and people are starting to put two and two together, not just from this case, but from the evidence that's being shown up on social media regarding JP Morgan, Consensus, Corium, Ethereum, and Joe Lubin, and what they all have in common. Well, what does it boil down to? Well, there's some people speculating that, well, it basically means that JP Morgan is essentially the centralized owner of the Ethereum blockchain. I don't know if I would go completely that far, but a lot of the evidence is not looking good for Joe Lubin. And if you want some more information on that, you definitely need to follow a couple people on Twitter, which I'm going to link in the description below, one of which is John Deaton, one of which is Take XRP, and another one is Steven Huber. Those guys are absolutely going hog wild, posting this information. You got to check it out. So what is that going to mean for XRP? Well, so if this case ends right around the same time that Gary Gensler may or may not actually go after Ethereum for securities fraud or possibly even worse, well, that might pull some of the attention away from whatever that settlement might be. But we know that Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, is not going to accept the settlement unless it declares XRP to be a non-security digital asset. And so personally, I believe that XRP is one of the best risk-reward plays in all of crypto for 2022. There's some other ones as well, but this is one of the high-profile ones that a lot of people are going to be talking about. Obviously, it's all over Fox Business. Once this case settles or Ripple wins, it's going to be all over MSNBC. It's going to be all over the financial news channels. And of course, it's going to be all over the internet. It's going to be all over exchange news, CoinDesk news, everywhere. So, like I said, you might want to have your bags packed, but that is not financial advice. I am definitely not telling you to buy XRP, but simply to keep your eye out. Okay, so what else is coming down the pike for the XRP ledger? Well, there is some big news, specifically regarding the Corium airdrops and the Sologenic NFT marketplace. They have actually been making some huge new additions and some huge new changes, upgrades to that NFT marketplace. I have a video coming up that you're not going to want to miss because I'm going to review some of the new features that they've been rolling out and why it's actually one of the fastest growing NFT marketplaces in terms of value. So if you want to keep track of the Ripple versus SEC case, what may or may not happen to Ethereum, and some of the new projects that are actually happening on the XRP ledger, you're going to want to subscribe to the Late Night Grind YouTube channel. And you can do that by clicking the subscribe button below. And like I said, don't forget to hit that bell notification icon, because at any time it could be that settlement announcement between the SEC and Ripple. Like I said, you might want to be prepared. The other thing to look out for is we're still expecting 2 judgments to come down regarding some of those motions that were up in the air, and you can check out some of the videos where I talk about those judgments upcoming and what John Deaton and Jeremy Hogan predict for those coming judgments. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you watching all the way to the end. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and check out the community tab. I post polls up there. Go ahead and participate. I love to see what you guys think about all these stories. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, for smashing that thumbs up button. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.